Greetings, fellow ghouls, and thanks for stopping by on this stormy evening. Yes, it's another rainy night here on the grounds of Aberfoyle Manor, and if you'd like, I can read to you from my collection of true, scary stories. That must be Dr. Wolfula. Hopefully he has a solution for my demon problem. Hello?
Greetings, Guesty, it's me. I've got some good news. Have you ever heard of the Owlhead Lighthouse?
No, I haven't.
It's an old decommissioned lighthouse on the river right next to your manor. There's a path through the woods that will take you right to it.
Through the woods? You're sure?
See, the other night I was killing some time by throwing old books at Goulash's head. You know, just seeing if I could crack his skull. I nailed him with the biggest, heaviest one I could find, and the pages inside all fell out. The book happened to be called Old Maps of New York, and I saw that one of the pages had a map of your neck of the woods.
You don't say. I honestly haven't done too much exploring.
Take the path through the woods until you come to the old side. Take a right and head to the water. You can't miss the Owlhead Lighthouse.
And do you think the bulb at the top will be bright enough to kill the shadow demon?
It's certainly worth a shot.
Thanks, Doc.
Don't mention it, Guesty. Good luck with the demon.
Good luck, cracking Goulash's skull.
Thanks, but I don't really need luck. I have plenty of books. Talk to you later.
Well, that's great news. And Dr. Wolfula found a way for me to defeat the demon. I just have to go through the woods and find the old lighthouse. There's no rush on that. You came all this way. Would you like to hear another true scary story from my collection? In fact, I was thinking I could tell you 2 shorter scary stories, both dealing with a new topic. UFOs or UAPs or whatever they're calling them now. Just while we're on the subject of lights, how about I tell you the tale of the lights in the sky? So this happened when I was in college. It was towards the very end of my freshman year, in April of 2012. I was going to school at the time in a decent-sized city on the East Coast. It was a city that actually had a number of colleges nearby, and the 2 most well-known ones were just a few blocks away from each other. Not at my school, but at the school next door, there was a spot where many people would often hang out. There was a large building on this school's campus, a large building with a large, flat roof. I'm not sure how anyone initially discovered this, but it was pretty easy to get up on top of this building. All you had to do was make your way around to the back side, where there was a fire escape. The architecture made it easy to climb up to the fire escape, take it to the top level of the building, maybe 3 stories off the ground, I think, then climb over a little ledge onto the roof. By the way, all this was best done at night, when security at the school was less likely to see you. At the very end of my freshman year, my girlfriend and I initially started dating. It was all a bit awkward at first, but she suggested one evening that we go hang out on the roof, as it was called. I instantly knew what she was talking about, though I hadn't yet seen it for myself, and neither had she. We went to the grocery store near campus and picked out some ingredients for a picnic. We both had class the next morning, so we weren't planning on staying out too late, and just imagining a nice, quiet dinner up on the roof. We packed up our food for the picnic in my backpack and also brought a blanket to sit on. I think we left for the roof around 6:30 p.m. It was just a short walk to the other school's campus, and the sun began to set as we were walking over. Like I said, neither of us had been up there to the roof before, but my girlfriend's roommate had told her all about it, and directed her on the best way to climb up to the fire escape. We reached the building and walked around to the back side, where the ladder for the fire escape could be reached maybe 10 feet off the ground. There was this sort of column right under it that provided an adequate foothold, and I gave my girlfriend a boost as she stepped onto it and reached up for the fire escape ladder. Once she began climbing, I followed, placing a foot on the column and doing a little jump right up to grab the ladder and continue behind her. The fire escape ran around the perimeter of the building, going up diagonally along the sides until it reached the roof. I gave my girlfriend one final boost over the ledge of the roof, where there was a small step down. I handed her the backpack full of stuff, and then hoisted myself up and over the ledge. The view was incredible. By this point the sun was down and the sky was fading from red and blue to black, transitioning into a cool spring night. We walked around for a moment, scanning the rooftop for a good place to set up, and enjoying the panorama of the city. None of the nearby buildings on the campus were much taller than this one, so we had a pretty unobstructed view of the sky. We spread our blanket and plated our food, and enjoyed the assortment of breads, meats, cheeses, fruits, and vegetables that we'd found at the grocery store. It was a perfect evening, with only mildly chilly weather and not a cloud in the sky. After finishing our food, we decided to hang out for just a little longer on the roof. Again, we both had class the next morning, but it was just too nice up there to be in any sort of hurry. We lay down on the blanket and looked up at the stars. This was probably between 9 and 10 p.m. While we were in a decently sized city, there were still a few stars to be seen at night. The light pollution was pretty severe, especially because I had been camping before and could compare the night sky here to one in the middle of nowhere. However, we enjoyed the handful of stars that we could see. We talked about friends, classes, drama, appreciating each other's company amidst the special tranquility that the roof provided. Then, suddenly, I saw something moving in the sky. Even telling this story now, I can still see it perfectly. It was 8 lights in total, 2 vertical rows of 4 lights flying in parallel. The lights were bright, a bright white with a slight amber tint. The 2 rows of 4 lights moved in perfect unison, so perfect in fact that it almost seemed as though they were part of the same shape, as if one rectangle had lights around its perimeter. Stunned into silence, I watched as it moved completely silently from one side of the sky to the other, crossing my entire field of view and disappearing over the horizon within maybe 7 seconds. The lights were large and seemed closer than the stars. After they were gone, my girlfriend and I sat there for a few beats of silence. I couldn't tell how much time had passed before I turned to her and asked, "Did you just see that?" "Yes," she replied instantly. "I wasn't sure if I should say anything. I thought maybe I was going crazy," she laughed. It was strange. I started laughing too. I'd never had this reaction before and never had it since. But I started laughing almost uncontrollably. I truly couldn't believe what I'd seen. It was like being in a state of shock. The 2 of us compared our descriptions of the lights and found them to be exactly the same. 2 rows of 4 moving from left to right, with no noise whatsoever. We remained on the roof for a while after that, looking up at the sky and wondering if the lights would reappear, but they never did. We went on the roof a number of times after that, but we never saw the strange lights again. We told all of our friends about it, bragging about how we'd seen a UFO, but no one seemed to take it too seriously. In fact, it became a bit of a running joke, and my girlfriend's roommate got her a t-shirt with a little green alien on it. I was never a believer in the paranormal, or the otherworldly, or whatever you call it, before that night on the roof. But ever since, any time I catch a glimpse of the night sky, I spend an extra few moments watching the stars and looking for any lights moving among them. Ooh, a close encounter for sure. Here's the second story. Do you like these shorter ones? Let me know down in the comments below. Anyway, here we go. Most people don't seem to believe me when I tell this story, I was still young when it happened, maybe 12 or 13, but I know what I saw. I was on a family vacation at the time. My parents, my sister, and I were staying at a lake house with my aunt, uncle, and our cousins. It was an old cabin-style home, right on the waters of a small lake in Vermont. This would have been in the summer of the year 2000. Now, while the house we were staying in was big, it didn't have many modern conveniences. I don't remember exactly what the setup was, but I do remember that we had to go to a nearby well to get water. The well was a quick drive away, but down a back dirt road in the middle of nowhere. The road was dark and scary, and completely surrounded by woods on both sides. One night, we needed to go to the well, and my older cousin volunteered to go drive to the well and fill up. He asked me to come with him, and I agreed. The two of us got into the car and pulled out onto the back road. The car bumped along the path, the uneven terrain knocking us around like a ship at sea. I can still remember how dark it was, with the car headlights providing the only illumination along the dirt pathway. We got to the well shortly, and my cousin parked the car nearby, directing the headlights at the well so he could see what he was doing. He began collecting the water, and I waited next to the car. Eerie sounds were everywhere out in the woods at night, bugs chirping, birds calling. It was all especially scary in the dark. There's something terrifying in a primal way about not being able to see your surroundings. The hair on the back of my neck stood up as I watched my cousin pump the water and waited anxiously for him to finish. While I stood there waiting, I eventually looked up. While the pure darkness around me was terrifying, above me, it gave way to the most incredible night sky I had ever encountered. I had never seen so many stars before. I didn't even know there were so many to be seen. I remember in that moment something my uncle had told me about how you could see satellites among the stars, how they looked much like stars themselves, but drifting slowly along their path. I scanned my eyes across the brilliant night sky, feeling a bit pessimistic about spotting anything among the countless twinkling lights. It was like looking for a slowly moving needle in a haystack. But then, after only a moment, I saw one, as if by some cosmic coincidence. It looked just like the surrounding stars, maybe a little bit bigger actually, but it moved steadily through them, as smoothly as a boat on a lake. What were the chances, I thought. The next part happened quickly. My eyes were still trained on the satellite when suddenly it stopped in place. No, that couldn't be right, I thought. Surely I just lost track of it, but no. There it was. I could still see it. A light slightly brighter than the surrounding stars. It had stopped on a dime, without slowing down at all. I didn't know what to think. Satellites didn't stop in place, right? I was about to call to my cousin, still pumping at the well, when the light suddenly took off at a right angle. Yes, 90 degrees from its previous path of travel. It just zoomed off to the right. I only saw it go for a second or two, and then it was gone, disappeared beyond the trees. I told my cousin about it immediately, but he didn't seem to believe me. He just laughed and made some "E.T. phone home" jokes on the car ride back to the lake house. I told the rest of the family when we returned, and even those that feigned interest didn't react with as much excitement as I considered appropriate. I've never seen anything like it to this day, and I've seen regular satellites since. I've never seen another one stop and change direction, though, and so deep down I know that I saw a UFO. I'm not saying it was necessarily an alien, like the ones you see in the movies and all that, but it was unexplainable and unidentified. Maybe the military is working on some secret technology that we can't yet comprehend. Or maybe we are being visited by some extraterrestrial intelligence. All I know is that I'm open to the possibilities. Ooh, twisted tales of terror, that's for sure. Have you ever seen any strange, unidentified lights in the sky? Do let me know down in the comments, won't you? Now I'd love to stay and chat, but I think it's about time I go and face this shadow demon once and for all. Wish me luck. Do come back and visit me again sometime soon. Hopefully I'll have this whole situation sorted out. Good night.